And Miles, just talk us through that nice hug with Mikel Arteta at the end.
Yeah, that's the boss. So I'm, grateful for him, and that shows our connection is strong. So, yeah, man. Yeah,
what was you saying? I better play Tuesday.
Hey, we have to wait and see for that.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on the team sheet for that one. Miles, listen, you've done everything that you could to get yourself a place in that lineup for Atletico Madrid on Tuesday. But congratulations on the win today. 6 points clear, and you'll enjoy tonight, I'm sure, with 3 cup finals still to come.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
In fact, it's been a busy 7 days for them, but Arsenal were great today. And there was one man in particular who caught your eye. In fact, you've spoken highly of him all season, Gyökeres. So what was it about his performance today, Wayne?
Yeah, I think his whole game, his hold-up play, obviously, is 2 goals. And I think what he does, he allows the likes of Eze and Saka to get into positions. And I think he's been fantastic all season. And yeah, he's had a little bit of criticism, but... And now we see that same
well, when you've kind of resonated with the fans, you saw kids doing that, didn't you, after his performance today? Now, there is a counterpoint, and you said there has been criticism. These are his goals, and 14 in the Premier League, over 20 this season in all competitions. And this here is who he scored against. And only one of the teams he scored against was in the top 10, and that was Bournemouth, who are in 8th. Is that an issue for you?
No, it's not an issue. I think it's something which, of course, you'd like to score more against the big teams, but I don't think Arsenal have done that well against the big teams anyway this season. And how you win league titles is being consistent. So I think consistently throughout the season, he has scored goals against the other teams. But then if we look here, his minutes per goal, it's right up there. You see the players who are below him. It's the Sesko, Ekitike, Welbeck below him, who's had a great season. So his minutes per goal ratio is very good, and I think he's been such an important signer for Arsenal, for his goals, but also bringing...
Many congratulations. The victory was important today, but was it the manner of the victory that made a huge statement this evening?
Yeah, I think we controlled the game very well, and then, of course we did it. In this stage we have to win the games that are left, and we showed today that we got a good performance, and of course important 3 points.
This felt a very different performance in terms of flair and belief today. What was the difference? What was behind that newfound confidence?
Yeah, I think we always go into the game believing that we're gonna play in a good way and create a lot of chances, and today we did that, and we enjoyed it.
If I just take you back a couple of weeks ago, we saw those pictures of Declan Rice on the pitch at Man City, and he was saying to everybody, it's not over. How much did you all believe as a group that it wasn't over?
Yeah, we never stop believing, and we're not going to do it. So that's how it is, and we keep going. It's a lot to play for still, and we're just going to focus on the next one now.
How good a week has this been for Arsenal and for you personally?
Yeah, it's been good. Of course, we got some good results, and it's on a good path. But we have to stay there and keep going like this.
6 points clear tonight, plus 4 goal difference. A Champions League second leg semi-final on the horizon as well. Do you sense you're in the touching distance of something really special in the history of this football club?
Yeah, of course. There's not so many games left now, and we're in a good position. So of course we feel it.
Well, Victor, many congratulations. You are the player of the match. Well done.
3-0. For Arsenal, 3 points for Arsenal, and when it comes to the standings, they go 6 points clear in their pursuit of the title. Obviously, Manchester City got other competitions that they're involved in as it stands right now, but Arsenal doing what they need to do. Jules, it looks as though Arsenal are back. Have they just flipped the pressure back onto Manchester City today?
Yeah, I think so. Not just with the win, but also with the way they won that game, especially in the first half. The second half was to be more in control, and there was substitutions made by Arteta, because on Tuesday night, of course, they've got the second leg of the semi-final of the Champions League against Atletico. So he had to mix things up at the beginning, and then obviously through the game at halftime and the second half, as we see on the graphic. But yeah, I think it was important not just to win, but the way they won, scoring 3 goals. They hadn't scored more than 1 goal in the last 8 games. as well in all competitions. So there was that kind of pressure almost in a way of them doing better with the ball. The return of Calafiori and Saka was very important. The start of Miles Lewis-Kelly in midfield was also very key, I think, this afternoon, because we saw how much he brought to this team in that position, under pressure, but also against a lower block, if you want. Because let's be honest here as well, this game was made easier by the fact that Fulham were already on holidays, no intensity, no real energy. They didn't start well. They didn't really play well. Arsenal also hit the woodwork, had a goal disallowed, all that kind of stuff. They could easily have scored 4 or 5. So, Fulham didn't play well. We're not really there. But credit to Arsenal for making that game easy for them in the first half.
I know that the stats back this up, but you don't even need stats to show this one. The difference today has got to be pointed to Bukayo Saka as well. It's night and day, it feels sometimes, when he's in this Arsenal side.
It really was. When he's on his side and he's in this kind of mood. First start since the Carabao Cup final, he comes in and it just has the run of the park, in all honesty. And all of a sudden, Arsenal look like a really good footballing team with Bukayo Saka on the park. More than just his performance as an individual, I thought what you saw from Bukayo Saka is an understanding alongside Gyökeres that got the best out of Gyökeres, who got a couple, could have had another. And all of a sudden, you see a free-flowing footballing team, albeit 95% of that play coming down the right-hand side with Bukayo Saka, certainly when he was on the park, and they looked very, very comfortable indeed. A couple of weeks after, they've kind of limped to that 1-0 win against Newcastle. We've spoken about their reliance or over-reliance on set pieces in the past. This is as good a performance from, I want to say back to front, but I saw nothing of David Raya, saw nothing of the back four, in all honesty. They were on holiday. It was that convincing, that commanding a performance from us.
And we saw a 21st goal of the season for Victor Gyökeres. He's had his critics this season, but I mean, they're decent numbers for a striker, Ali.
What I would say about Victor Gyökeres, you provide him with service and usually he gets on the end of it. He may score, he may not, but he is active inside the 18-yard box. And what we see so often, or we've seen so often from Arsenal, is that they'll play around Gyökeres, but never with him in mind in providing service. So that's why having a guy like Bukayo Saka playing at this sort of level, taking players down in 1v1 situation. Of course, it helps that it's Raúl Jiménez, that is 1,000 years old, and who knows why he was in that sort of position. But regardless, I digress. Let's give credit to Bukayo Saka and the quality of his service, and let's give credit to Gyökeres, who doesn't often get credit, but should get credit not only from the finishing, but the movement. We criticize here Gyökeres, must have been a couple of weeks ago, when he didn't have any touches coming onto the field in the game against Manchester City. The movement in the goal by Bukayo Saka that you saw from Victor Gyökeres is available to Arsenal all the time. But in order to exploit that movement from Victor Gyökeres, you have to have a willing passer of the ball. And let me just give a shout out to Eze, who I think should be on this team all the time. Now, he is inconsistent, admittedly so. But there are certain touches that he takes on the ball, you kind of go, this is a different level. This is a different sauce right here altogether. When he is playing at that high level, when Saka is playing at that high level, when Gyökeres is scoring goals, then yeah, Arsenal is fun. But the one thing that I would say about today that wasn't so much fun is the fact that they were playing against a team in Fulham that, as Jules put it, were already on vacation. Yeah. I mean, they were laying out on vacation, tanning on vacation. And so there was a chance here for Arsenal, because a goal differential can be a problem, can be a difference maker here. Maybe there was a chance here to really make a statement for themselves, for Manchester City, and create a separation that may be hard to overcome for Manchester City. 3 could have been 6 very easily. Yeah. And had that been the case, I think we're having a different conversation about Arsenal altogether.
OK, let's put some numbers on the table. And percentage chance, it's Arsenal who win the Premier League title for you right now, Jules, after what we saw today.
It's still 50-50. I don't think it's changed. For me, City will play 2 games now before Arsenal play their next league game. So City can come back level with a similar goal difference, a better goal difference, lesser goal difference. We don't know yet. So as long as, until somebody drops points, it has to stay 50-50 because they're equal on pretty much everything. That is if City obviously win against Everton on Monday night and then beat Brentford the Saturday before Arsenal go to West Ham on a Sunday. If that's the case, it's still 50-50. The day somebody drop a point, or well, not one, but 2 or 3, then I think then the odds would be different. But for now, it has to be 50-50.
I go slightly more for Arsenal. I want to go, to make the math easy, 55-45, in that the old cliche.
You took a chance.
Yeah, well, it's close, is my point.
You could have gone 60-40.
No, it ain't that far.
All right, okay.
It's close, I just don't think it's 50-50. And the reason being, the old cliche, you prefer to have the points than the games in hand, which is what Arsenal have right now. Also, you look at Arsenal's remaining games. West Ham, Burnley and a Crystal Palace, who I'm sure will equally be on the beach. If Arsenal play like this, and I know that is a big if, given what we've seen from them in weeks gone by, if Arsenal play anything like this, you can see them, because as both guys just mentioned, this easily could have been 5 or 6. If Arsenal play like this and score 4 goals per game, let's say, that's asking Manchester City to score 3 per game in their remaining 5 in a much tougher run-in. So right now, I think Arsenal are in pole position.
You went full math genius there.
No, you see, so now this
is you carry the one.
No, this is something I learned. This is something I learned in life. You say it with confidence.
Yes.
Nobody questions you. I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that math doesn't quite.
No idea.
I mean, I think he crushed it. It was very believable to me. Are you going to simplify it a little bit for us, Ali?
Well, 60-40 for Arsenal, because they've won the games, and that there's nothing more important than that they already have the points. Assuming that Manchester City is going to get the points, that's a different question altogether. So I just say 60-40 Arsenal, but this is bound to change. Somebody is going to drop points to Jules. I think if Arsenal, you feel comfortable that you seem to have regained momentum, you have confidence if you're Manchester City, because you had momentum before Arsenal played these two games, but you still feel good about yourself. So yeah, somebody drop points, they're done. And somebody will drop points. Who will that be? That's a bigger question.
Let's focus on what's up next for Arsenal. It is that return leg against Atleti. They're bringing it back home. Jules, how are you feeling about it, and what do you think we're going to see? What type of game will it be, and what are you expecting from Arsenal's players?
I expect it to be similar to the first leg on Wednesday at the Metropolitano, because I think there's no reason for either manager to change. I would be very surprised, though, if Simeone doesn't start with the back 3 that we saw in the second half in that first leg on Wednesday. That worked much better than the 4-4-2 that he used with his own son on the right-hand side, for example. So I expect Atletico to line up in that way. Certainly the team that we saw, that 3-4-3, that we saw at the start of the second half with Lookman, Alvarez and Griezmann in that front 3, and then the 2 wide players, more than really the 4-4-2. For an Arsenal point of view, I still think they've got a bit of an advantage. I know it's a draw and there's no away goals anymore, but still it feels like they've got, for me, a little bit of the edge because they will be at home. Although we saw yesterday almost completely changed Atletico side with a lot of youngsters. Winning their game.
Thierry Henry has sent a strong message to Mikel Arteta ahead of Arsenal's massive Premier League clash against Manchester City, and he didn't hold back. The Arsenal legend warned that talk is cheap unless it's backed up on the pitch, especially with such a defining test coming up this weekend. While the Gunners secured their place in the Champions League semi-finals after goalless draw against Sporting CP at the Emirates, Henry made it clear that the performance simply wasn't good enough. Yes, Arsenal got the job done, thanks to their 1-0 win in Lisbon, but managing just one shot on target at home raised serious concerns. And against a team like Manchester City, Henry believes that level just won't cut it. Now, all eyes turn to the Etihad Stadium, where Arsenal face the league leaders in what could be a title-defining showdown. Arteta's side currently holds a 6-point advantage, but City still have a game in hand, and recently beat Arsenal 2-0 in the Carabao Cup final. The stakes couldn't be higher. "I want to see that fire at the Etihad," Henry said on CBS Sports. "It's easy to talk, but go there, against Manchester City, and show what you're made of." Henry made it clear that while he believes in Arteta and the direction of the team, belief alone isn't enough. "I believe in what I see, I believe in him, in that fire. But when you say things like that, you have to deliver. And I didn't see it tonight." Despite his criticism, Henry acknowledged the significance of reaching the Champions League semi-finals, something that doesn't come around often. "We're through, and I'm very happy. A semi-final, it's huge. I never won it, but I did win the league. Now go to Manchester City and win. That's what I want to see." I believe in Mikel, yes, but show it. When asked how Arsenal should approach the game, Henry was blunt. Not like tonight. Not like against Bournemouth, or Brighton away, or what I've seen at times this season. And when questioned whether the performance against Sporting would be enough to beat City, Henry laughed. The Manchester City I've seen recently, they've won 4 in a row, and even Liverpool were in the mix. It could have been more. Still, Henry remains hopeful. In fact, he's been consistent in his belief since the start of the season. I truly believe we can win the league this year. This is our biggest opportunity to prove, as a team, that we are capable. But for him, it all comes down to action, not words. I'm sitting here in the studio, there's nothing I can do. But I've heard fire. Now I want to see that fire at the Etihad. One moment that stood out to Henry was Declan Rice's reaction at full time. Look at his face. Go back and watch it. A lot of players were smiling, but his expression, I don't know. Maybe I need to talk to him to understand what he was thinking. This is a guy who just reached a Champions League semi-final. Henry made it clear, there's no negativity in celebrating the achievement, but expectations must remain high. This is huge, congratulations. It doesn't happen often in our history, so of course I'm happy. But against City, I want the team to win, not settle for a draw. That's it. Arsenal head into the clash with just 1 win in their last 5 matches across all competitions, including a 2-1 defeat to Bournemouth in their most recent Premier League outing, a reminder that improvement is urgently needed if they want to make a true statement against City. The pressure, therefore, is not just about one match, it's about momentum, identity, and belief at the most critical stage of the season. Inside the Arsenal camp, there is a clear understanding that performances must match ambition. Arteta, speaking after the draw with Sporting, admitted that his team has to improve a lot, particularly in the final third, where their lack of creativity and cutting edge was evident. While defensive discipline has been a strength, the inability to control games and create consistent chances is beginning to raise questions at exactly the wrong time. That concern is echoed by pundits and former players across England, many of whom agree with Henry's assessment. The general feeling is that Arsenal have shown resilience, but not the dominance expected of a team aiming to win both the Premier League and compete deep into the Champions League. Declan Rice, however, has taken a different stance. The midfielder has brushed off external criticism, insisting that the squad remains fully focused and unaffected by outside noise. Internally, there is still strong belief that this group has what it takes to deliver in decisive moments. Rice's mentality reflects a dressing room that is trying to stay grounded, even as scrutiny intensifies. The upcoming clash with Manchester City is now being framed as more than just a top-of-the-table encounter. It's a defining test of Arsenal's maturity. City, with their experience and relentless consistency, represent the benchmark. Pep Guardiola's side are known for stepping up in exactly these moments, and their recent run of form only reinforces the scale of the challenge. For Arsenal, the narrative is clear. Promise is no longer enough. After coming close in previous seasons, this is the point where they must prove they can handle pressure, respond to criticism, and deliver when it matters most. Supporters are divided. Some see this as the perfect opportunity to make a statement and silence doubters. Others share Henry's caution, worried that recent performances hint at vulnerabilities that City are more than capable of exploiting. What happens at the Etihad could shape the remainder of Arsenal's season. A strong performance, not just in result, but in attitude and intensity, would reinforce their title credentials and validate Arteta's project. A weak display, on the other hand, would only amplify doubts and hand momentum back to their closest rivals. In many ways, Henry's words have already done their job. They've sharpened the focus, raised the stakes, and set a clear expectation. Now, all that remains is for Arsenal to respond, not with words, but with a performance that proves they truly belong at the top.